Communism. The very word evokes strong emotions. For some it represents a utopian dream, a world free from inequality and oppression. For others it's a failed experiment, a synonym for tyranny and economic disaster. But what exactly is communism? In its purest form, communism is a political and economic ideology that advocates for a classless society. In this ideal society, the means of production are owned collectively, and wealth is distributed equally among all members. Imagine a world without billionaires where everyone has equal access to resources and opportunities. That's the vision communism paints, at least in theory. However, the road from theory to reality is often paved with good intentions and unforeseen consequences. The history of communism is a complex tapestry woven with both triumphs and tragedies, successes and failures. To truly understand this influential ideology, we need to delve deeper into its origins, its core principles, and its impact on the world stage. The story of communism begins in the mid-19th century, amidst the Industrial Revolution's turmoil. Europe was undergoing a period of rapid industrialization, leading to unprecedented wealth for a select few and widespread poverty for the masses. Factories sprouted like mushrooms, swallowing up workers and spitting out profits for the capitalist class. Enter Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, two German philosophers who would forever alter the course of history. In 1848, they published the Communist Manifesto, a fiery critique of capitalism that ignited a firestorm of controversy. Marx and Engels argued that capitalism was inherently exploitative, creating a system where the wealthy few profited off the labor of the many. They called for the workers of the world to unite and overthrow the capitalist system, replacing it with a communist utopia. Their ideas resonated with the working class, who were increasingly disillusioned with the harsh realities of industrial life. Communism, they believed, offered a glimmer of hope, a promise of a better future, where everyone would share in the fruits of their labor. At the heart of communist ideology lies a fundamental belief: capitalism is inherently unfair. Communists argue that private ownership of the means of production, factories, land, resources, inevitably leads to exploitation. The capitalists who own these means grow wealthy by extracting surplus value from the labor of the workers. To dismantle this system, communism proposes a radical solution: the abolition of private property. In a communist society, all property would be owned collectively, and the means of production would be controlled by the state on behalf of the people. This, in theory, would eliminate the distinction between the capitalist class and the working class, creating a truly classless society. Another key tenet of communism is the idea of a centrally planned economy. Instead of relying on the free market to determine the allocation of resources, a communist state would make those decisions. The government would decide what goods and services were produced, how they were produced, and how they were distributed. This centralized control, communists argue, would ensure that everyone's basic needs are met, eliminating poverty and reducing inequality. Section 4. Communism in Practice, a Mixed Bag. The 20th century saw communism rise from an ideological concept to a global force, shaping the destinies of nations and impacting the lives of millions. From the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia to the rise of Mao Zedong in China, communist movements swept across the globe, promising liberation and equality. The Soviet Union, under Lenin's leadership and later Stalin's Iron Fist, became the world's first communist state. China, under Mao, underwent its own tumultuous transformation, marked by land reforms, collectivization, and the Cultural Revolution. These revolutions, while ideologically driven, often came at a steep human cost. However, the reality of communist rule often fell short of the utopian ideals it espoused. Centralized planning often led to economic inefficiency and shortages. The suppression of dissent and the absence of democratic freedoms became hallmarks of many communist regimes. Section 5. Debunking the myths, separating fact from fiction.